All right, guys. So, where did my dislike for online parts, or I shouldn't say online parts, but inexpensive online parts, where did that start? Let me back you up here about 2 years ago. My own car, Dodge Grand Caravan, needed a set of front struts. Not the cheapest thing in the world. I found them online. Not at a bad price either. I didn't go for the cheapest, but I didn't go for the most expensive either. So I got a set and I installed it. Fast forward about, I don't know, maybe 10 days, and all of a sudden, I started getting a knocking noise in the front when making turns. Okay. So I checked it out. I had bad strut mounts. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm just going to buy a set of strut mounts from my local Napa store. I'm going to throw them in. I wasn't too happy about it because now basically I could have just bought complete struts from the Napa store for the same price. But they would have probably been Chinese knockoff, whatever, regardless. So I got the strut mounts and put them in. Okay, noise is gone. All right, great. Fast forward about a year. Now I start to notice the vehicle's bottoming out pretty easy, and I notice it's got a rake to it. The front end's lower than the rear end by quite a bit. Doesn't look bad, actually. I kind of like the way it looked, but it was sitting a little bit on the low side in the front. Okay. Then I start noticing as I'm parking, you get those those concrete parking abutments, whatever they are. I notice if you get too close, you whack them. This thing didn't clear them anymore, where it used to clear them. Because you could drive up and touch it with the front tires and you're good. No, not anymore. You have to park behind it because otherwise you're whacking it because this thing's got a cross member that goes from the radiator to support on back. Okay. So then, after a little while, I start to notice I hear a noise when the thing's hitting, whoop-de-doos on the road. And the suspension would, bottom out or whatever, you go woof like that. I hear like a clunk. So I'm thinking, sway bar links? No. Bushings? No. What was it? Let me show you. The springs were contacting each other. The coils were. That coil is contacting this coil. And here you can see, this coil's got rust marks on it there because it was contacting that coil. I already changed the one out, and there you see the contact mark on there, and you can see the contact mark in there. And same thing, bottoming out there. I'm going to show you something interesting here. Here's a set of AC Delco springs that my local O'Reilly store had. So, measure this up. 1540. Oops, 1429. 1 millimeter thinner. These springs are 1 millimeter thinner. And check this out. I don't know if you could see how bent that spring is. It's actually arched in a U shape right there. I mean, obviously it's a very slight U shape, but it's still a U shape. And you can actually see it in this strut. Look at how the spring is bowed out towards the backside here. Look at that. I mean, that's extreme. But that's kind of where my hatred for buying cheap or inexpensive parts came from. I'm guilty of it myself. So, like I said, I went almost 2 years with this thing like that. Combination of being lazy and, I'm a mechanic and it's my own car. So, I know I can get away with it for a while, but it finally got to a point where I'm like, you know what, I really need to do something about this. Oop, let me shut my micrometer off. There we go. So, I decided let me put the struts in and do all that stuff today. I actually have a somewhat free day. So I bought a set of struts, I bought the springs, and I'm just going to reuse the strut mounts. I'm going to use the bellows from the other struts and the bumper that's inside there. And I'm just going to swap those in, and then I'm going to have to send this for alignment on Monday. But in case you're ever wondering why I get picky about online parts, aftermarket parts, that's why. You buy cheap stuff, you get cheap stuff, and you get failures. And there it is. So my hatred for this stuff, it started 2 years ago. So I'm going to get this assembled and put this back in. And then I have another trick I'm going to show you know if you guys have ever dealt with a lug nut that absolutely will not come off. You got a socket on it, but it won't break free. Like you feel like you're going to snap the breaker bar or whatever you got on there. I'm going to show you a trick on how to get those off, because I've dealt with that where they won't come off, and I've actually had it where the lug breaks. Actually, let me show you something. Let me pause this. All right, so this is what I'm going to show you. Here's a lug nut. And now I've seen it where these things get so seized in place, and they get seized on this point here where the acorn portion actually hits the rim. And what happens is when you're trying to get it off, you got a breaker bar and everything else. This piece actually snaps, leaving this piece attached because this piece is seized to the rim. So let me see if I can focus in on that a little bit. Right there. That's the best I could do. And let me show you this. I saved this because this is just so interesting. See the acorn part there? You can actually see it had threads on the inside. See that? So this is the acorn portion. This was somebody I worked with who snapped one like that on his own vehicle. It was a Jeep Liberty, I think. And he sat there with an air hammer for 2 hours trying to get it out. And I just told him, just drill the stud out. You're going to save yourself a lot of aggravation. 2 hours later, I come back to him. He destroyed the rim because he was air hammering this thing. And he just got so fed up, he destroyed the rim. He never took a drill to it. I finally grabbed my 1/2-inch drill, and you could see where I drilled it. And once you got it to a certain point, you put pressure on the rim, and it snapped the remainder of it off. But yeah, I'm going to show you a trick on how to break these things free without going through all that extreme. But that'll be in my next video. So, if you get anything out of my videos, hit the like button. If you could, please subscribe. It'll help me make more videos and better content. That's about it for today. Hope you guys have a great day. Keep wrenching.